Sowore, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you very much for bringing me.
You said Tinubu's government will trigger the Nigerian revolution.
I strongly believe so.
Why?
Because revolutions brew over time, and there's always a spark that makes them happen. And in the case of the French Revolution, it was scarcity of bread. When people are denied of the right to move freely, to do their small businesses that give them a daily living, and they can't afford to eat, the revolution is near.
Why Tinubu? What has he done?
Tinubu, in 54 days of being in power, has introduced the highest level of suffering that's dislocated, policies, I would say, that's dislocated the economy in such a way that there's nobody in doubt as of today that the government didn't mean well for the nation. And they're two-pronged. One is the floating of the naira. As of today, the naira is almost 900 naira to a dollar. It'll probably reach 1,000 naira to a dollar before the end of the year. And the bitterest one is the removal of fuel subsidy, which has now made it impossible for about 80% of the populace who are engaging in informal economic activities to be grounded completely.
Are they grounded?
They are. If people cannot afford to buy fuel to the point that they have to walk to and from work, then they are grounded. If people can no longer move from one place to the other to do their business because they've been priced out of their ability to do so, they are grounded. If people don't have wages that can support their basic needs, they are grounded. And there's no question about that as of today. And you can see that an attempt to introduce palliatives fell flat on its face almost as soon as it was introduced.
You see palliative as insult to the Nigerian people.
It is an insult, but most importantly is to technically understand palliatives. It is actually a medical terminology for splashing water on a disease that you don't want to cure. In the US, when they say somebody is undergoing palliative care, it's an end-of-life type of care. That is for diseases that can be cured or want to be cured. And to introduce that into Nigeria, to say, well, we will give you 8,000, not as individuals now, but as households for 6 months. It's just more than an insult. It's not just an insult, it's a denigration of the Nigerian people.
Tinubu has backtracked.
I don't know if it has backtracked because fuel prices are now at $6.50 per liter, which means that it's actually more expensive to buy petrol in Nigeria than it is on the streets of the US as of today.
Perhaps Nigerians got what they bargained for. He promised to remove subsidy, and he got the votes.
Well, it would be debatable if he got the votes.
Debatable?
Yes.
In one of your posts, before Tinubu was sworn in,
yes,
you called Tinubu president-select.
That's correct.
What does that mean?
Because the election wasn't an election, it was a selection of the next member of the elite.
But you contested in the election.
That's exactly why I have a better grip of what happened.
What happened?
There wasn't an election. That's what happened. There was a selection process.
Who selected him?
The INEC and whomever, all in the composition that made this grand theft happen.
Grand theft?
Yes.
Would you have won that election?
You don't ask who will win an election that didn't happen.
An election you contested in?
I told you, I contested in an election, but the people who organized the election did not conduct an election. They conducted a selection. That's been my position since the end of the electoral cycle in February.
I've been thinking.
Yes.
Sowore calls for revolution now. What do you mean by revolution?
It's very simple. It is a total overhaul of a system of oppression, subjugation, and denial that's been our lives. It's to make a U-turn from that process and to do so by any means necessary.
Did you say any means?
Yes.
Democratic means, you mean?
Well, I do not have any other means that I've used beyond democratic means because I had to defend this in detention and in court. Now,
So you stand for democratic revolution?
a revolution is a revolution. And I do not need to attach other adjectives to it.
But you need to explain it.
I've explained it many times. It's contained even in my statement of trial.
Explain it to me.
Well, I have just explained to you that this country doesn't work for Nigerian people and they need to change course and do so by any means necessary.
Have you studied revolutions?
I have studied revolutions.
I know you have.
Yes.
Do you like the consequences of revolutions?
There is nothing that has worse consequences than bad governance.
You remember the reign of terror in France?
I am telling you that there's nothing worse than what we've been through in this country since last.
The French Revolution led to the reign of terror.
You do not know about the French Revolution more than I do.
I know you have studied the Russian Revolution.
It's like I've studied, this Russian Revolution. I've studied the Cuban Revolution.
It produced the killer instantly.
And I've studied the American Revolution as well. So what is important for you to know is that all these countries that we have mentioned have been through revolutions at one time or the other. We haven't. That is probably why we are debating which one will work for us or not. But I'm saying to you categorically that there's nothing worse than what we are going through. And there's nothing a revolution will give you that is not better than what we're going through now.
Do you have the intellectual core to trigger the revolution you want in Nigeria?
I don't know who does, and I do not ascribe any intellectual capacity that is special to myself. But I know that we need a revolution, and I've committed my life towards making sure we have one.
But for revolution to happen, you need an intellectual core.
There is more than an intellectual core.
Ready for revolution?
Absolutely.
Where are they?
Well, you wait and see when the revolution happens.
You have called for it. It did not happen.
Why did you think that they were scared of a revolution in 2019 when I called for it? Because they understand that we are ready for it. And I was arrested and detained for 5 months over it. Like I told you, I underwent interrogations. I was brought to court. I was abducted in front of a judge.
You were arrested or abducted?
I was abducted and re-abducted in front of a judge in a courtroom, which you're aware of. So the moments are right before you. They're happening before you. The question is, what you understand to be a revolution and what I believe will be a revolution. But I will not deny that the revolution that we're calling for hasn't happened first, yet.
It hasn't happened.
It has.
Is it something like NSAS?
Well, maybe it could be something like that, but NSAS is also not a revolution yet. Revolutions are a series of events over time before they finally birth.
Because I'm saying perhaps Nigerians don't understand you. So you need to explain to them what you mean by revolution now.
I don't think Nigerians don't understand me. You understand? I think what
because you call for it, they don't follow.
No, it's actually not true that they don't follow, because the revolution that I called for in 2019 had 26 cities participating in Nigeria, and it's not that they just participated. Persons who participated, the leaders of those revolutionary actions, were arrested and tried in various courtrooms across Nigeria, including here in Oyo State, in Ogun State, in Abuja, in Edo State, in Port Harcourt. People were arrested. Some were tried, some weren't tried. So you can't say that people didn't follow. They brutally put down that revolution, and I was arrested even before the day of it. I was arrested on the 3rd of August, 2019, and the revolution now protests happened across Nigeria on the 5th of August, 2019. So people, even despite my absence, people did respond to it. And don't forget that I was the first to call for NSAS, by the way.
But NSAS did not want you. Were you disappointed?
No, it's not as if NSAS did not want me. It's part of what I'm telling you, that when the ruling elite sees that you are moving, marching inescapably towards the revolution that they dread, they introduce all kinds of things, including confusion, between and amongst organizers of events like that. My disagreement with those in NSAS at that time who wanted to take over was that NSAS did not require people who are liaising with government. So all those Zoom meetings with Dangote and the rest of them, I was opposed to it, and I refused to be part of it. And those disagreements came from those, because you see, they wanted a limited edition NSAS, and that was why they were asking for 5 demands. And we said no. NSAS wasn't about police brutality. It was the response of the public, their own way of throwing out their frustration, especially young people, against the state. But NSAS started then having managers. After they had said, oh, it doesn't need leaders. It turns out that they have leaders, but their leaders were having meetings, nocturnal meetings with government over Zoom. And when we exposed that, there were conversations on their part to say, Sowore wanted to hijack NSAS. No, how can you hijack an event that you started? I was the first person to lead an NSAS protest to the police headquarters in Abuja after calling for it on Twitter.
What happened in Egypt with Hosni Mubarak? Is there a revolution?
The manipulation of public anger by the West, are you getting my point, against the likes of Hosni Mubarak, Gaddafi, are not completely the true picture of a revolution. But that is not to say that you must throw away the desire of the people to throw away those gangsteristic leadership like Hosni Mubarak. And that first stage has been achieved. Are you getting my point? The second stage was frustrated by the West because it was the Muslim Brotherhood that became the beneficiary of the revolution, the mass revolution in Egypt. And they thwarted that and then reinstated their own reactionary government in place through Sisi. So those ones are not to be overruled as revolutions, but they also can be considered as a process of revolution that has not yet been completed.
So what is your clear example of a revolution? What country would you pick?
I'm not after countries, all right?
What model? Because somebody was asking me, Sowore is your friend.
Yeah.
And he's calling for revolution now. Why are you not calling for revolution now? I said, perhaps Sowore need to explain to me what kind of revolution he wants.
Maybe it's because you are not my kind of revolutionary, but we are friends.
so I want to know what
maybe
you want.
Maybe you don't want to risk everything.
What do you want?
A revolutionary is a person who is willing to risk everything.
Are you a Joseph Stanley?
Maybe you haven't reached that point.
Are you a Joseph Stanley?
That's Russia, yes.
Are you a Stanley?
No, I'm not. I'm not a Stalinist. You understand? I'm Sowore Omoyele. I'm a Nigerian. I am not trying.
Are you a Hugo Chavez?
No, I'm not trying to be anybody else.
You are Sowore?
I have peculiar circumstances. I have a country. It has its own topography. It has its own weather. It has its own people. It has ethnicity. It has religion. It has contradictions. You understand that we have to resolve by our own revolutionary. It is when we are done that our own become a model to be followed by others.
When you are done,
yes,
you are in court, right?
I'm in court. It's part of the processes of revolutionary development.
And the court has seized your national passport.
That's true.
So you cannot travel out of Nigeria.
I can travel out of Nigeria, but I don't have to travel out of Nigeria to make a revolution happen in Nigeria. The passport is a piece of paper.
Well, you want the passport. You were in court recently demanding the passport.
Because the passport belongs to me as a citizen of Nigeria.
Because
my passport is not supposed to be seized at all. No, it's not because I want to travel.
Have you seen your children in recent time?
I haven't seen my children in recent time, but I've seen them.
How?
Digitally.
No, have you touched them?
I haven't. There's also a digital touch.
But they can come home.
They can come to Nigeria if they want.
You don't want them to come home?
They have their own lives to live. I have my own life to live. Are you getting my point? I don't have to see. What is the simplest way to explain is that this is not a battle for children. Yes, it's a battle for adults. When the children get to their own challenges, they will face it.
How is your wife?
She's doing well.
You miss her?
I do, of course.
You want to see her?
I would love to see her, and I'm sure she would love to see me, yeah.
Tinubu should release your passport.
I'm not pleading with Tinubu to release my passport. Don't get me wrong. I don't need him to release my passport to even get out of Nigeria if I want to.
Tinubu should withdraw the case against you.
That's his own problem. They are the ones who instituted the case. When they are tired, they will withdraw it. The case never went anywhere anyways. We've been at it for 4 years. Only one witness from the federal government that testified against the federal government.
The case has been reassigned.
3 times, so this is the 3rd judge that we're on.
What did the judge tell you the last time?
That we have to be rearranged again in October.
In October?
Yes.
How do you feel?
I don't feel any differently from when I was first arraigned for opposing military rule when I was in the University of Lagos.
Have you been financially strangulated?
No, I can't be financially strangulated because my life doesn't depend on money.
How do you survive?
I survive because I have to survive, and the way other people in this country, in my position or beneath my position, survive.
Do you have a business you run?
I've always had a business.
Sahara Reporters?
No, my business is revolution.
Revolution?
Yes.
Do you make profit?
As a business, as a passion.
Do you make profit?
From running the revolution? No, I'm not a profiteer.
How do you eat?
Food is not my problem because I am not a greedy person. I'm not a gluttonous person. I eat just like everybody on the streets of Nigeria. I eat what I can find.
You have decided to face the war.
That's the way I have decided to live my life.
And one option is that the wall must come down.
It's down already, but we need to march around it.
It's down?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am sure. I'm pretty good that most of it is down already. It has collapsed, but it needs to fall.
How do you feel when policemen attack you?
I don't feel any different. They've been attacking me since when I was 18 years old.
Are you not tired?
Well, if those who are oppressing us are not tired, those who are resisting oppression cannot get tired.
You remember that policewoman?
I do.
What did she do to you?
Well, she shot me at close range with a riot gun, a tear gas gun, and it tore into my lap, into my thigh.
I saw the pain written all over your face.
Nigeria is a painful place.
Should I say sorry?
No, you don't have to. There's nothing to pity me for or pity me about. I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for the security agencies who have to do these dirty jobs.
Why did you meet Nnamdi Kanu? What is the deal?
Nnamdi Kanu is a leader of a social movement, and I am also a leader of a social movement. My meeting with him in 2019 was to get him or encourage him to let's partner together.
Partner to do what?
To fight the revolution. And I
break up Nigeria.
Breaking up Nigeria for me wasn't an idea that was fascinating, because if you break up Nigeria, it's like breaking up a big problem into smaller pieces.
That's what Nnamdi Kanu stands for.
Well, that's what you heard he stands for. But what he told me he stands for is justice for Biafrans, which is translated in his view that the only way he can achieve that is to break up from Nigeria. But my own duty is to say, look, I'm a Pan-Africanist. The entire African continent for me as a nation is not even big enough.
So Africa is a country?
I want an Africa that is a country with one currency, with the same transportation system, so that I can go to Joburg or Senegal and come back the same day without a passport officer or customs stopping me on the way, except for if there are security suspicions. They just board the train, check, and get off the next bus stop.
William Ruto is giving you that license soon.
I don't believe in William Ruto. I don't believe in all these African leaders who parrot Pan-Africanism when they're engaging in oppression at home. William Ruto is doing what Tinubu is doing in Nigeria, just increase taxes on petroleum products, and the people of Kenya are hurting, but they're also protesting as we speak, and they're attacking them. That's, for me, is not a revolutionary example of leadership.
You were able to raise 40 million naira for your election.
That's right.
And you gave account of it.
I do that every time I run for election, which is twice now.
Is that what you call transparency and accountability?
It's way more than that for me, It's something that you don't have to be told. If I was a U.S. politician, I wouldn't even have the option to decide whether I want to release that or not. I must. And that's where we must get to. If you are raising money from the public for election, you must explain how the money is spent. It is not something. I'm not doing the public a favor. I'm the one who went to them and asked for their donation. They have a right to know what I do with their money.
40 million?
Yes.
Perhaps somebody said you're not even ready to be president.
Well, because
40 million cannot take you anywhere.
Because people feel like you have to spend 40 billion to get to become president, or even more than that. But that, I heard this last people in APC and PDP and even Labour Party spent close to $1 trillion. Yes. But that's the reason why we're where we are. I spent 40 million and I made the impact that I believe would have saved the country. I was able to, travel around the country, discuss my ideas, and they are beautifully listened to across the country.
Dangote refinery will help.
Is it producing pure water yet?
When will it produce?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Is it Dangote's refinery or our refinery?
It's Nigeria's refinery, because Nigeria paid for the Dangote refinery, and that's why I have a problem with the refinery. When they come around and say, the public refineries are not good ideas, but the same government can invest $2.7 billion to help Dangote build it. That's their direct investment. But besides the $2.7 billion that NNPC invested in Dangote refinery, Dangote was getting waivers. They get a different exchange rate.
They own the country, right?
Well, I believe they own the country.
And you want to take it back?
We have to.